Well, so much has happened since the last time we talked about your Emmy nomination for the higher routine on Dancing with the Stars, which was 2 years ago, and you won
Yes.
at the late ceremony, which was right after Hayley, your wife, had an emergency craniectomy, and you gave such a moving speech there. And then last year, season 33, you guys performed this beautiful routine together on the show. So can you describe what the last year and a half, 2 years has been like for you?
Just a year of extreme highs and extreme lows. Um, but I think that this past year, reflecting on what Hayley has achieved, going on three different tours, essentially, 110 shows, 80 cities, 85 cities, all while, you know, recovering from this really life-changing uh, surgery and going through this really traumatic experience where it happened on stage in front of, an entire audience and dancing together and that moment, you know, receiving that Emmy for Hire, which was obviously because it was delayed. Um, that was really unique because it was exactly a month to the day. I was on a hospital floor, you know, in tears, just in absolute just shock and disbelief, and just being in this sort of unfathomable situation where I really believed that, I was going to lose my wife. To think that within 30 days, um, so much had happened in that time of healing and repair and surgeries and all these things, and then to then fly back the day of those Emmys and then to walk on that stage and to accept an award, it was just wild. It was just I couldn't, it was just hard. It was like I was so overcome with emotion in the moment because it felt really surreal. And I don't use that word often because, but it did. I felt like out of body because I was like I was. This doesn't. I feel like I'm in a different place right now where I'm just in a nurturing, caring, repair mode. And yet here we are on stage accepting an award from a routine that was very, very special, with Michael Bublé being a dear friend and the piece and everything like that. And of course, more importantly, that piece being with Hayley, being like the center point of that. So it was wild. It was a wild moment, but it was kind of a nice moment, be on that stage with the Emmys where it felt like, okay, we're back into the real world. Several months later, to then go on to Dance with the Stars and to create a routine and to share a little bit of the story of what we experienced and what we had gone through, that was amazing. You know what I mean? To then be on the biggest dance stage, essentially in the world, really, with Dancing with the Stars, and to create a piece that reflected our relationship, our support, our and her recovery and her strength and her resilience. And it was beyond special. Again, it was this year has been such an ebb and flow of ups and downs, but again, those moments of art, those moments of creating, those moments of sharing elevates sort of everything. There's like this sense of like levity where you're like, okay, we're gonna share a little bit with everybody and we're gonna thank them. We want to thank them for the support and the love and for the prayers and to do that, with the way we know how, is with dance and with storytelling and to share that. So it's been an incredible year of creation, of healing and of love, honestly.
So when
Yeah.
did the conversations begin of you guys, or her going back on tour, but you guys also doing the routine on the show?
We have a documentary that we've been working on right now, and it's really incredible. It's really so proud of it. Cannot wait to share that with everybody. And so we kind of kept a lot, sort of just for that. Um, but for the conversations for getting back into dancing, it was that was Hayley. She's like, I want to get back in and just see, get a part of myself and see what but then for Dancing with Stars, they asked, said, would you want to perform on the show? And we talked about it and he said, yeah, that'd be great. Um, and also like, what do we want to share, as far as the journey and the process and we felt good about the amount that we shared with and we're as was enough to kind of convey the story. And I think as well, because I think with her, I think because we didn't show a lot of images or pictures or anything like that, I think that, there's different types of craniectomies, there's different types of procedures, and hers was very much an emergency. So they, had to remove 40% of her skull, which is a large portion. But yeah, her recovery it was insane. I mean, the doctors were just like, I, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. Like, how are you doing this? How are you dancing? And that just shows her will and her again her resilience and her stubbornness of just to get out there was unmatched, and it was just it was a beautiful experience and a beautiful experience to share.
Well, so how did the routine come together and were there like certain moves you guys, decided not to put in because you felt like maybe it was too dangerous for her? I mean, in the routine, you flip her upside down, and I know I wasn't the only one who was like, "Oh my gosh," like worried about
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Fortunately we had gone on tour already for we finished out the tour that we stopped, which was again insanely powerful experience that we were able to capture. So because of that process was for me the process of like learning to dance again with her, like to be confident and be like, what can we do, what can't we do, what feels okay, what doesn't feel okay, what's safe, what's not safe, all those questions which were answered a lot. I mean, sort of asked a lot by me, like the process and everything. But once we got that on our belt, there was a bit more of like an understanding, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, this is all right, this is not all right. There wasn't really any sort of limitations, unless it's funny. I feel like I'll put the limitations on, like, we're not doing that, what I mean? Where she's like,
You're the
dude,
one who's terrified and she's not.
yeah, yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like good about that. She's just like, no, no, I got this. I'm fine. I'm okay, but yeah, so for us, it was the music, finding the right song for that piece. So it's so important because again, there's different entry points into choreographing a routine. And it could just be a song. You start with a song, let's create to that. Or it's like a cool costume. You're like, oh, I like that costume. We should do something with around that cool costume, find a song for that. And then there's entry points of story, right? Where you have the story first, and then you need to find a song that helps support the story, and then the routine, of course. So we had the story, of course, but I was like, well, what's the message, And I had 10 songs, of different lined up essentially and listening to them and doing variations of the music. And I was like, okay, this song's really good. And I worked on it for like a week. I worked with musicians to like with strings and added drums into there and had a pianist come in and play piano. And I was like, that's cool, but something's not like hitting right. It's not like moving me. Then I was listening to the song. It's a very popular song that, Benson Boone song. And I was like, no, it's too commercial. It's too like overplayed. It doesn't have that like emotion to it. And then I was like, well, let me just try stripping it down and just like, so I pulled the stripped down version, added strings, worked with, musicians again to kind of like, add to the music. I was like, I feel like this is like the first time I've heard the song because the lyrics just suddenly, they meant so much more. They had a really raw and vulnerable feeling to it than what the song that I was used to hearing was. And when I heard it, I was in the car and I was sobbing. I was sobbing because it was like the words were exactly how I was feeling, in the hospital floor, just begging her not to go, And so it felt right. And yeah, then we started creating. But that part is always so important. It's like finding the right song that
I
really,
also like that you added like the beep of a heart monitor in the middle.
yeah, yeah, no, it's again, it's those little moments to try to convey the message, you know what I mean, even more, and to tell the story even more. And even lighting as well, you know, when we're working through the routine, it's like in this moment, I need the lighting to kind of, you know, come down, because that's what it felt like. It felt like the world became this like sort of, you felt sort of sunken, you know, and then when that little piano comes back in, when I feel her and she, you know, she breathes, it's like there's like this life being, you know, put back into her, and then we carry on dancing together. The light changes, like every aspect, even at the beginning, the very, very beginning, she's out of focus, and then she walks into focus. And the purpose behind that was just the sense of uncertainty, right? There's a sense of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Everything seems like a blur essentially, and I don't know what's going to happen until she, you know, walking into that clarity. And also too, her vision, you know, it was affected at the beginning because the brain was swelled up so much. It was on her cranial nerve 3 in her eye, which meant that her eye wasn't focusing properly for a while. And that, from a dancing perspective, that alone would affect your dancing for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So there was lots of little symbolic moments in there, from that, starting with that blurred vision to, you know, the heartbeat monitor, to the lighting change, to the choreography, the movements, even being, you know, utilizing her head in some ways, cradling it. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was beautiful. It came together so perfectly. Well, on a completely different note, in the finale, your Argentine tango with Mark Ballas, your bestie.
Yes, yes,
And that was born out of just a clip of you guys posted you two rehearsing for your tour on Instagram.
yeah.
Fans liked it. And then so when did you guys discuss, hey, what if we did this on Dancing with the Stars?
It was just funny. He just came in to help me with something, and he took his shoes off, and we just started dancing together, and we just started laughing. We're like, this is so fun. We're like, this is so great. And I was like, we should do something. I don't know what we should do. We should do something together on the show. And then I was just like, well, what can we do? And I was like, well, you know, the Argentine tango, the origins stem from um you know, working class men, you know, dancing together. A lot of people don't know that. You know, when I share that with people, they're like, "Wait, what? That's no way." So I thought it was a great opportunity to do something with my bro, but more importantly, to really share a bit of history and a bit of because that's one thing that I love about Dancing with the Stars, or about this dance movement this past 20 years, really, if you think about it, sort of educating, if you will, dance, you know, to the masses, to everybody, to for them, everybody to enjoy. And you know, even now, like seeing like somebody at a sporting event and they're like, you know, like, I love that paso doble, Derek, and this, I'm like, growing up, like I would never have heard that. You know what I mean? Like I never would have somebody talk to me about a paso doble or a cha cha, you know, at a football or basketball game. So it's really, it warms my heart. So then to take it to another level where I'm like, hey, did you also know that the Argentine tango was actually between two men, and let's demonstrate it for you. That was awesome. That was so fun to create. And also what was cool about that was I was on tour at the moment at that time. And so Ballas had to come out on the road with me. So he's on my tour bus. I'm doing a show. We're doing like a show in Chicago. It's full out. And then after the show, we're rehearsing in this like hallway. Then we travel to like St. Louis. Then we're, you know, practicing in this little practice hallway before the show. You know, we were just finding little hallways and little alleyways to like practice, to choreograph this routine. It was crazy. It was really hard to get it in there, but again, it was that sense of like, no, this is important, and we really want to do this. But it was crazy, like literally, really in the streets of New York, like rehearsing out in a sidewalk. It was like super. It was raw. It was so raw. And then when we get, and again, going out there with the lighting and the musicality and even the camera work, the way we rehearsed it with the camera operator, and there's so much that goes into it that's not just than what you think. You know, even the music. Mark made this beautiful edit with the music, adding the sound effects, adding that like the tension, those little things that like you feel when you watch it, but you're not quite sure what it is.
I love the costumes because the pants were like extra baggy,
Yes,
and it was like you could really see the leg movements.
yes. So that's a great example. That was Marsh's idea actually. He was like, dude, we need to make sure that he was sending this reference to us, this, we need a suit like this. Because we're so used to like wearing like the Latin pants that are a little bit more tight and a little more tapered. But he's like, no, 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 no. Like the Argentine, it's their baggier pants. So you could see, like you said, like there's more emphasis on the movement, and it accentuates it. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. The behind the scenes of us choreographing that routine together is a show in and of itself. And because we're brother, we just talk so much trash to each other, and we're hitting each other in the shins, we're hitting each other,
Or
and
were
like
you fighting over like who gets to lead where at what portion?
it wasn't even fighting. We were just laughing because I would be like, "Come on," and he was like, "No, you go." And then I was like, "Well, who's the leader right now?" I'm like, "Well, I'm leading this." Oh, well, hold on. Well, I go this way, and you go. It was just such a funny. We cried laughing like the whole time. We were just like little boys. Like again, it was so funny. It was so funny. It was like learning to dance again for the first time. It was really cool. It was really, really neat.
I thought, I mean, like I think everyone loved that dance, whether you were familiar with the show or not. And I was like, Len would love this dance. He would be so proud because there's no fussing about. But there's
Yeah.
also so many responses from people who are like, I've never seen the show before, but I watched this and it was mesmerizing. So like, how does that make you guys feel?
The whole concept of like two men dancing together is nothing like it's nothing revolutionary, by any means. Like I said, this is what the origins are. But it was cool to be able to see and even hear from some people who were like, I didn't really know if I wanted to see that. But after seeing that, I loved it. To almost to show it, to display and say, hey, look at this. Like this is different, or it's not different, but it's like we haven't seen this yet in this platform like this. What do you think? And the response is like, I like it. I really thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And that was what we wanted to. We wanted to leave the door, just open and ajar, for that to possibly be, something in the future. And
Yeah, because the
um,
show has had same-sex women,
yes,
Jojo and Jenna, but not same-sex men. Do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's to show that, to demonstrate that in that way, and then for it to be received, the way it was received, was great. And continue to try to push the boundaries a little bit, and to yeah, to sort of share the beauty of dance and all its beautiful variations and yeah, in different ways. It's really special.
Well, lastly, what can you say or know about season 34?
Is it 34 or 33? What are we doing? Is it?
34.
Oh my gosh, really? Oh, from what I've heard, and because of the success from last season, this season is already looking like it's. And we say that all the time. I know we're like, this season is gonna be the best season yet. All the things, but I truly mean this when I say that already. The few people I've heard, it's gonna be an amazing,
Like they're
amazing
already
season.
locked in, the cast, like some of
It's
the cast members.
I'll just say I've heard some,
Okay.
you hear some things, hear some things here and there, and I'm just saying it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting, and again, it's the casting is so important. So when I hear about these things floating around, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be good.
And it's
I'm
pretty
looking forward
early
to it.
for that too, like at this point. So it's like,
Well, it's early because, and again, it's a testament to the popularity of the show. It's like there's this new generation that are now like being introduced to it for the first time. They're like, oh, this is a riot. This is a good time. Like, what is this show? And it's this brand new life. So the casting and the interest and people wanting to be a part of it, um, is you know is massive.
are you gonna choreograph another routine or two again? Or-
You know,
Yeah.
I think, one of the blessings and one of the joys and real privileges, honestly, about being a part of Dancing with the Stars for so long is to be able to create on that show. The platform for dancing and for choreographing and for creating is so special because you really have just this beautiful sandbox to play in. I'm like, hey, can we get like a zip line that comes down from here to go down? And it's kind of like, let's think about it. It's not like a no. It's like, let's play around with that idea. Yes, I would. I have some ideas already, brewing for the next season, and can't wait to create.